What up? Welcome to a hot episode of POPradio. My name is Miss Cosmo. And of course, if you watched the last episode of POPcast, you would know that I am officially rolling solo. So we took a little bit of a break, but we are back and we are obviously giving you the best in what we can for the content, the entertainment, the artists, the people that you want to hear from, the stories that you want to hear. And of course, we're going to keep giving you all of that content right here on the POPcast channel. So to kind of get us back in the groove of things and to kind of get us into summertime vibes, we do have really awesome artist who is joining us today on POPradio, just kind of chatting about her life, her music, the things that she's busy with right now, and of course becoming the first winner of a specific competition. Yes, I am talking about the one and only Harley Ray. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. So happy to have you. I know it's been a long time because we've been back and forth and saying, we're going to do this interview, but we're here. I'm quite excited to kind of chat to you a little bit because I do think your story is a little bit more different than most artists. I think everybody kind of has, little quirky things about themselves. But I do want to take it back a little bit. I mean, you're a girl from Durban.
Yeah.
Which everybody who comes from a Durban space is always surrounded by dance music, party time, that type of vibe. And how big of an influence was that for you kind of growing up? Because being in a dance nation like South Africa and being in such a heavy space in Durban, you could have kind of gone in different directions with your music, but you chose to go through the house route.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big influence on the music that I make and the decisions I decided to make early on in my career. When I first started making music, I was making pop music. That was because the label that I was signed to, that's what they wanted from me.
Okay.
I ticked all the boxes and,
Yeah.
And then I started going to Shisanyama's in Umlazi when I was about 14.
Yes, when
wasn't supposed to be there.
Of course not.
But that was my intro into the Durban dance scene.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with dance music. I fell in love with house music specifically because, at that time it was your Professors, sort of Big Nas, that house music, dance music kind of revolution that was coming out of KZN.
Yeah.
So it really did inform my decision to make music. But I think now that I'm progressing and I'm growing up, I don't think it informs my genre so much anymore. I think I'm evolving into sort of a more globalized version of dance music. But yeah, I always return home.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? There's no place like home. I think a lot of people kind of think of that whenever they trying to connect back to where they come from and trying to figure out exactly what next move to kind of make within their careers. But I do think it also kind of helps that you have a little bit of a backing from your family because your family is also very intricate in the music business. How did that kind of influence you for you to be confident enough to actually get into music?
I was very lucky that always supported me. My mom was kind of on the fringe of the music industry when she was my age.
Yeah.
She had a friend who was in a band and she toured and, she kind of knew a bit about the industry. So when I told her I wanted to be a musician, she was really, really supportive of it.
Nice.
But her condition was that I learn about the business behind the music industry. So at a very young age, she was making me read books and blogs and learn about what my different revenue sources are and, the structures within the music industry, what are rights, what are publishing rights, what is copyright. So I had a good understanding of that from a young age. And I think also just commenting what you said, I think, artists from small towns, I think we always go back to draw inspiration from where we come from. But not often do we give back to the communities of where we come from.
Yeah.
And as an artist and as a creative, it's really important for me to not just draw inspiration, but also invest into the cultural economy of Durban and where it comes from. I've just shot a music video that's entirely Durban. So
nice.
The entire film crew, it's shot in an iconic Durban location. There's 16 or 17 dancers that all from Durban.
That's so dope.
Choreographers from Durban. So yeah, not only is Durban my source of inspiration, but it's the place I'll always go back to and to invest in as a creative.
Does your family still live in Durban?
Yeah.
They do. Okay, so that at least kind of helps.
Yeah,
makes it easier.
They want to move to Joburg, because obviously my little sister Mimi is now becoming a little
A little star.
personality. And also it's just really hard to be away from my family. You know, like my mom works for me.
Yeah.
She runs the record label and the production company. So I'm just finding it hard. Like I love Joburg, but the one thing that's missing is my family.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
hopefully they're gonna move up soon. So then it's gonna be harder to visit Durban, I think.
Yes, you won't have a reason to go back, and I actually find that same reason as well. I think anybody who's got like family in different parts of the country, once everybody kind of comes closer to you, then you're just like, okay, well, do I have to go? I think like
Yeah.
a lot of families kind of feel like that. I mean, I'm the same as well because I've got family in Umlazi, and my aunt ended up coming to us all the time, especially when my grandparents passed away. So there
Yeah.
wasn't really a reason to kind of go there. But sometimes you just need to go and touch the water,
Exactly.
get yourself
Exactly.
in the mood, in the vibe. But of course, getting into music at such a young age, as you had mentioned earlier, that it was kind of influenced by your label and what they were kind of direct you as, and kind of stereotyped you into this pop girl because that's what you look like and that's what you
Yeah.
feel like. How difficult was it for you to kind of break out of that, for you to say, no, this is actually what I want to do, because you guys are trying to put me in a box, but I'm a different person, I'm a creative, I want to think outside of this?
It's really hard. I mean, I was 15, 16 maybe when I decided to make the shift to dance music. And to everyone else, I was just a money making machine. I was 15. I didn't know what I wanted. To everyone
Yeah.
else, I was just a kid. I don't know anything about the music industry. So I really had to fight to do what I wanted to do. And I really had to find, it's so hard being a woman in this industry, and then being underage as well, is that your opinion is never respected. And as soon as you stand up for yourself, you're difficult. You're a
Yes.
diva.
You're a bitch. And you're
I
just
was
like,
about to say, yeah.
but
But the thing is, like, it's taking me only till now. I'm turning 28 at the end of this year, and only now am I learning to balance standing up for myself with like being respectful and not being labeled, all these horrible things.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult at a young age.
I can just imagine, especially because, you also want to be expressive.
Yeah.
Because you also don't want to be put into this a space where you can't create.
Yeah.
Because now the pressure's on you where they're like, okay, but where's the music? And it's
Exactly.
like, but this is not the music I want to make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was hard on my mom because my mom was managing me, and every time she stood up to anyone, they'd be like, "Oh, she's a momager," and blah, 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 blah.
no.
But in actual fact, she's just a person protecting a young artist.
Yeah.
If anyone else who wasn't a family member did it, or if it was a man, they would have respected them.
Exactly.
So my mom went through a lot supporting me in my music journey, and often she was my voice when I couldn't stand up for myself.
I can imagine. But would you say that there were a lot of lessons that you kind of learned from the label that you kind of took into, running things on your own now, especially now that your mom, like you said, is your manager and you are being able to kind of hone your career the way that you want to and take it in the direction that you want to?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I moved from that label, and then when I was 17, I signed to Soul Candy. And that was just like the biggest deal for me. We're talking about like, it was like 2012, 2013 when I signed to Soul Candy. Soul Candy was like at its peak.
Yes.
It's like I'd listen to Soul Candy sessions. I'd listen, like I had like the old mixtapes.
Yeah.
And I had to go buy a radio, like one of like that actually played tapes just to listen to them. Like I loved Soul Candy. But I signed to Soul Candy at a really bad time. In the music industry for them, they were kind of dissolving the label side.
Oh, I remember that time. Okay.
Yeah. So it just wasn't good for me. I gave up a full scholarship to UCT to sign to Soul Candy, and it made me never want to be signed to a label ever again.
I can imagine.
I never hand over my power.
But then have you never not thought about sometimes things happen in a specific way for a reason?
Oh, for sure.
Where, for instance, you had a little bit of a bad experience when you were 14. You didn't sign to Soul Candy, but maybe what was meant for you was for you to kind of manage yourself, for you to kind of take things in your own hands and control your own narrative as opposed to kind of giving it to other people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think after I left Soul Candy, I realized that we needed to really have a change in the dynamics of the music industry, because, everyone, especially at that point, treated female artists as vocalists. And a vocalist is a great title to have. But the truth is that it doesn't command a lot of respect in the music industry. Everywhere else it does. But a vocalist in South Africa is someone who comes into studio, records a song for you, and then you feature on a DJ's track.
You're like a sessionist.
Basically.
Mm.
Not a lot of women make money from those songs. Not a lot of women are credited for those songs. And I was really angry with that. And that's why I started the label and decided I wanted to change that dynamic. I wanted to release house music that was, it's a Holly song.
Yeah.
You know, this is Holly's song owned by Holly. She owns the masters, the copyright, everything. And I wanted to be one of the first women to do that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was my driving force behind the labels. I started the label when I was 20, 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been pushing from such a young age.
I have.
You know, some people would sit back and look at themselves, and you know what, there's nothing wrong with that, because I think it's also good for you to kind of learn and dig in very early. But some people also look at themselves and like, oh, I'm 21, I haven't even done anything, I just got out of school, which I do appreciate that you had your heads you know, screwed on right for you to be able to at least make these decisions, but also have the backing of your mom who at least understood the industry. What was it that you were going to study in UCT that you passed up?
Political sciences.
Oh, aren't you glad you didn't do
I'm
it?
so glad I did it. But then I did go study I did an undergrad at Varsity College and an honors at UKZN. So I still studied.
Yeah, but what?
But I studied intercultural communication and media.
But doesn't that help you better now?
It does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Again, things happen for a reason, because you weren't supposed to go to UCT and study politics. Because then you would be fighting and you'd be striking every week and sitting in parliament and falling asleep and doing funny things.
Imagine.
You know what I mean?
Could never be me. No.
So were there specific songs, or were there any songs that you had recorded that you thought were actually going to take it to the top before Deeper did?
Yeah, always. Always. I think also, like, I had a lot of success in KZN before Deeper, right? Because, you know, my songs are playing a lot of radio stations. I was getting quite popular in KZN. And it wasn't until Deeper hit that I realized how big the music industry was.
You were like, oh, okay.
Because the thing about Durban is there's a lot of, like, gatekeeping, and there's a lot of beef, and everyone there, like, is very small-minded, right? So I felt like I always would look at people in the Durban industry and be like, is this it? Is this all we have? Like, is this, like, I've chosen to do this amazing stuff, and is this what it is?
Yeah.
You know, and then when Deeper happened, I was like, this industry is amazing. It's so big. There's such incredible people. Like, it's a free for all for everyone to access. But yeah, there definitely were songs that were big in KZN.
Oh man. But you know, talking about the gatekeepers, that seems to be like a common conversation with people who come from KZN, who kind of complain about the same thing. And it feels as though no one has any grasp or a way to kind of break through it or to kind of fight it, and they rather just pack up and leave and then say, you guys will deal with yourselves the way that you deal with it. But don't you think that kind of hinders the music industry in Durban to kind of grow and create a little bit more?
For sure. I think also that was one of the downfalls of core music, because it wasn't...
I felt that way as well, if I have to be honest.
Yeah, it wasn't diversifying enough. And I think that was... Look, Om is still huge in KZN. Like, you go to clubs and stuff, that's what people are listening to.
Yes.
But I don't think it diversified. English data bundle
Oh
depleted.
my gosh.
I have a friend who always teases me, and he's like, Holly, the only language you speak fluently is English, and you can't even do that.
I mean, come on. You're the Mlungu here, not me. Come on. Get it right.
So I think that they didn't diversify enough for the genre to globalize, to spread further than just KZN, and that has a lot to do with gatekeeping.
Yeah.
You look at, like, I'm a Piano, like, even though some people criticize it, there's new songs coming out all the time from new people, and then this one's adding this to the genre, and this one's adding this, and you know, so it is always growing and diversifying. Whereas Durban, it's controlled by maybe 2 or 3 people, and I mean, I never wanted to be a part of that. I never wanted to hand my power over, and it's mostly men,
of course,
to anyone in the industry. So I just released my music as myself, and eventually it picked up, and I just went kind of around the gate, cut a hole in the fence.
Yeah, and you cut a big hole in the fence because my sister, you got yourself record of the year at the Summers with that song, and I'm sure there's a one funny thing that happens in the industry that I always look back and I chuckle at when everybody kind of sidelines you when you're starting out and they're like, she's a female, she must stay in this corner, or we'll box you and we're gonna put you here, and then you do something that unexpected and then everybody starts flocking.
Yeah.
And everybody wants a piece of you and everybody's just like, this is the girl, she's the one right now. How did life change for you after that award? Because I'm sure Durban also started opening up for you after winning that record of the year.
Yeah, definitely. But also I think that I'm the kind of person who never forgets. I think if you weren't there to support me on my come up, you can't, U-turn and come back.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that. But it was coming into, especially the Joburg industry, was very weird for me because I was a complete outsider, right? I knew no one in the mainstream industry. I only knew people from Durban. And I think the first person that reached out to me to work with me was Prince KB.
Okay.
And when he reached out, I was like, okay, people know who I am now. It's not just like my music. But I remember when I went to the Summers, it was the worst experience of my life.
Really?
When I went to go win the Summer.
Why?
So first of all, they seated me in like the general VIP area. So I was like in the pit with like everyone else. And then all the nominees were like at the top.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, well,
that's a bit classist. Jeez.
I was like, this obviously means like I'm not gonna win, but you know what? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
And cool. And then like even when I won, the camera couldn't even find me because they were like searching
like, where is she?
in the artist area, and there I was like down with everyone else. But my team put so much work into that, so it was incredible. And then even afterwards, like the amount of artists that like snubbed me, and like one artist came up to me and was like, I just wanted to beat you. I didn't care about anyone else. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm like a very like chill person.
Yeah.
I don't think I have beef with anyone in the industry. Like, I don't bother nobody. I keep to myself. I just like, so I was very shocked at like how ruthless the Johannesburg industry, or like more, not to Joburg, but like the mainstream industry can be. And that's why I've always just like kept to myself.
That's so annoying, especially because, number one, you broke a record that was held by Brenda Fassie.
Yeah.
Firstly. So no other female has kind of done what you've done at that point in time. The one thing that they should be celebrating is the fact that as a female, you have now won this award and you've won it off of your own back. You're not even pushed by the rest of the industry. It's just you and your mom and you are your team and you're doing what you need to do. And it's actually quite sad that people can actually come to you and be like, oh, I just wanted to beat you, as if you don't have or don't deserve to be in that position, which is actually quite it's painful. But I mean, and unfortunately it is what the industry is, and sometimes you kind of learn these lessons along the way, and you figure out that, you know what, I need to kind of have a thick skin for me to kind of survive it, because people are backstabbing and people are doing very weird things. But that, I think, is also kind of off the back of a race thing, because a lot of the people who were nominated with you that year, obviously majority black because of South Africa, and you probably think that they were like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Meanwhile, you obviously presented yourself and you won on merit. Doesn't the race thing kind of affect you sometimes when you kind of having to make music? Because at some point you are you having to make music for black people because that's what they know you for, because it's house music, but then you've also then got the white community that's just like, but you are now representing us, give us something.
I think that the success of Deeper was on the basis of it being crossover.
Okay.
So in South Africa, we have 11 official languages. We have people from different cultures, different places, spaces, economic brackets. We're a very diverse country, right? And that's why a lot of our genres are very... people look at like Nigeria, for example, and they'll be like, why are Nigerian artists so successful? A lot of it has to do with the fact that most of them speak the same language. So in South Africa, we have artists for different cultures, different languages, so our audience is split between that. Whereas Deeper was one of those songs that transcended all of that. But I think in everything that I do, I'm very conscious of not appropriating any culture.
Okay.
That's something I studied. You know, for my final thesis, I did it on white privilege and understanding what that is, understanding what cultural appropriation is, because I never want to cross that line. But I think anyone who hangs out with me and my team, anyone who understands how I grew up, understands why I make the music that I make. I don't make house music because I'm trying to make a genre that will sell better. That's not what I do. I do it because I love dance music. Because from the age of 14, that's all I've consumed. I don't know any different. Someone said to me the other day, like, why do you only have people of color like in your team? I said, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Because all of my friends are of color. It's not a conscious decision that I ever make. But I am conscious of never appropriating something I don't understand. If someone asks me to do something, I'll always make an effort to understand it, understand where it comes from, and in turn reflect that in the music that I make.
That's so important, I think, especially because South Africa needs to go through it has to do a lot more work when it comes to transformation. And I mean, for instance, look at the Springboks and the amount of backlash that they received before they won that World Cup in 2019 with Sia. Before then, it was, no, why are you changing the squad? Yeah. But the transformation is a necessity to kind of combine us and to put us together. And to kind of come back to your conversation as well, is also that appropriation thing. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with people kind of dabbling in what is South African, because you're still South African. Just because you're white doesn't mean you can't play go music or you can't make go music. It still influences you, but you just need to make sure that it's done in the correct way. And I appreciate that 100%.
I think that it's authentic. You know, like someone asked me, like I never made go music because I knew that I didn't really relate to the genre. I could have, and people would have been like, wow, cool, let's buy the music. But I don't understand the genre. I don't understand its origins. It's just not who I am. And that's the problem, is as soon as someone takes something they don't understand and they exploit it for like a monetary or for some sort of return on investment, that's where the problem comes in, I think.
100%. Talking about music, you know, you obviously evolving as an artist. You're working on different sounds now. I mean, Deeper was many moons ago. Is there anything in the archives right now that you're kind of working on that we're feeling like maybe summertime it's gonna be booming there by Holly Ray?
Yeah, so I did release an EP in September called 3 a.m. Part 1. There's gonna be a part 2, but and I just released on last week Friday.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
A track called 25 to Life featuring a Kenyan artist.
Oh, nice.
Called Blinky Bill, and the music video dropped on Friday as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Shout out. So where did you find Blinky?
Actually, our distributor connected us.
Okay.
He's with the same distributor as me, and I feel like I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve in South Africa.
Okay.
And I'll still keep doing it, but I really want to reach outside of South Africa now and push myself creatively. So I say to my distributor, I really want to connect with more African artists and create a sort of like more globalized sound. And they put me in contact with Blinky, and we like connected immediately. And yeah, it was really great to work with him. It was
that's
lots of
awesome.
fun. Yeah,
that's amazing. You know, that's the one thing that I always try to impress on people, especially artists, when making music. I think organic energy is very important.
Sure. I'm so big on energy.
Yes, because if it's not there, the song's not gonna work.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, man. So okay, so you're exploring now. You're doing different things. You are stretching yourself to the rest of Africa, which I really do appreciate, because I do think South Africans need to stretch themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Especially because we have all these resources. It doesn't make sense for us not to connect with the rest of the continent.
For sure, yeah.
But also kind of stretching yourself from a music perspective. You had to do that in The Masked Singer.
Yes.
Because you had to dabble in different genres and dabble in different ways of performing.
Yeah.
Which must have been a bit of a challenge for you as well. Take us through just a little bit of the journey, because, you know, I think the one thing for me that I marveled at when I was watching the show was I can just imagine how hot you guys are under those things, under those costumes, because it's hot enough as an artist on your own performing.
Under the lights.
You're already sweating just as you. Now you're wearing this thing and you still have to be yourself and you have to put on a show.
It was one of the most physically taxing things I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. I think I lost 3 kgs over the period that we were shooting. Yeah. Because you just like, they take the mask off and you're just like dripping.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like the one day, I said to so there's like a costume team who designs the costume. They work with you, you know, you're chatting all the time and they dress you every night. And I said to the lady, I'm like, really sorry, but I think you're going to have to wash my costume. And she said to me, she was like, please don't worry. The other ones smell much worse. So I was like, okay, I'm not the only one.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it was so hot under that mask. It was
wow.
very difficult. And, you know, they have like a little fan in the front, but there's no like vent or anything. So the fan's just circulating like hot air inside the mask. It's awful. And I remember my fan stopped working for a few nights and I actually thought I was going to die. I actually thought I was going to die.
So what is it? Are you not able to take off the mask at all?
No. Okay, so let me explain to you how this happens because it's wild. So,
but you go backstage, you can't take it off.
When you go, so there's one section where you can take it off, and only the costume ladies and the backstage production. There's like one person who can see you. As soon as you leave the little backstage room, you're covered in. So they give you like a burqa. And then a visor goes on top of that. So everything is covered.
Okay.
There's only about 4 or 5 people on set who know who you are.
Okay.
So they send a driver to your house. And you must you have a hoodie that says, do not speak to me. They send you gloves. They send you requirements, like you can't wear slops or anything. Like you have to wear like sneakers with socks and long pants that cover like not even a sliver of skin.
Oh, because you can't show your skin. Okay.
And then they send you gloves to wear, and then so you put your hoodie on, you make it tight. They send you like all these instructions. And then the visor, which is this huge like plastic thing like that, goes on top of the hoodie. So no one can see. You're not allowed to speak to the driver. And I find that really hard. I'm the kind of person, like, I greet everyone else.
Do you talk to Uber drivers?
Always.
I can't speak to Uber drivers. I always get in and I'm like, don't speak to me. And then it's just chatty. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in the conversation now. So you're the person who chats to the drivers.
Yeah, because
okay.
I like to like connect with people, find out how's your day going. If I had a really bad day, then I won't, obviously. But I like to connect with people. They take you, then from there you arrive on set. Her name's Chev. She picks you up on the car. You're covered. They walk you through. And then they'll be like on the radio, lollipop on the move. No one calls you by your name. You are your character.
That's crazy.
No one's allowed to mention your name on set. You are lollipop. Like lollipop on the move. They shut down the whole set. No one's allowed to move. They take you to your little room backstage, and only there can you take off your clothes. If you want to go to the bathroom, you write on like a whiteboard, a little whiteboard that they give you, like, please go to the toilet. You slide it underneath the door, and then Chev, the production manager, will come fetch you and take you to the bathroom all covered up again. So
that is insane.
It's wild. Not even the security on set, nobody, not even the dancers. And they use TaylorMade, who I work with all the time.
So you couldn't even like chat to them.
Like, hey girl, how you been? You know, nothing. It was awful.
No.
Yeah.
How long was production?
3 weeks. Just over 3 weeks, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
So you also didn't know anybody who was on set. You didn't know anybody who was performing. So
I figured it out with the rest of the country,
I guess. Okay, so when you are performing, you're obviously performing live. But now, isn't it difficult with the microphone and then everything's being covered and then you've got this mask in between you and your voice because you know how to perform and how to project when it's just you. Yeah. Now you've got this thing that's around you. How was that from a performance perspective? Because I was also worried about that. Like, okay, are they pre-recording these songs and then miming? Because there's a lot happening.
Yeah. So that mic that we hold doesn't work.
Of course. But it's the only thing that made sense to me because I was like, you guys sound way too clear to be singing live.
We have things inside the mic. So we have like an earpiece and all of that. And yeah, so that's how that mic is not how we're singing.
Because you see, I'm so technical about things. I'm just like, no, what's happening there? Yeah, How's that happening? You know what I mean?
Also, like, we also can't see anything. So we have to be told, like, while you're performing, like, you have the voice of God in your ear. And there were so many times. So I like to perform big, right? I'll jump all over the stage. There were so many times that they'd be like, Holly, do not go forward. Do not go. You're on the edge of the stage. You're on the edge of the stage. You're going to fall. So yeah.
Isn't that frustrating also? Sometimes I hate those the ears, the in-ears, because someone's speaking and you're trying to do something and then it's like confusing you because you're trying to remember your words, but then somebody's yapping in your ear.
Exactly, yeah.
Didn't that, screw with you a little bit?
A little bit, but they're not like that. It's only like in an emergency when you're about to fall off the stage or
okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
They're not talking the whole time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so you won the whole competition.
I
Did you think you
did.
were going to take it home?
No, I just was like, as soon as Anele phoned me and she was like, no, actually she WhatsApped me. She was like, hey babe, please watch this video. And it was a trailer for the American Master
So
Singer.
Anele called everybody.
Yeah.
She cast everyone.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. And she said, do you know the show? And I was like, of course I do. It's my little sister's favorite show. We've watched the British one, the American one, even the Korean one. Like, we love it. She was like, do you want to be a contestant? I was like, don't say anything else. I'm down. I'm in.
Yeah.
Because my sister loves it. It's such a fun show.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was going to win. I just signed up to have fun. Like, I'm always down for a good time and to do something different. There's a point like halfway through, I was like, I just want to go home. This is so hard. But yeah, I was just having a good time.
That's
the whole
awesome,
time.
man. Big ups, man. Shout outs to you. Shout outs to your team. Shout outs to everybody who had to kind of keep you under wraps for you to be able to actually win the show. And I think it also kind of speaks volumes of the fact that people were voting and people were making sure that they loved your character. So a big ups, and I'm sure even for your sister, she probably was also quite excited that you won.
So she came to the season finale.
Yeah.
So now my family was coming up anyway, because I had shows like the weekend after we finished shooting.
Okay.
So my mom was driving up the bus with some of the crew members and whatever. So my sister came along, and my mom chatted with Frankie and Anele to bring her to the season finale. Now my sister loves the Masked Singer. Like, when I tell you she's obsessed, like if she falls asleep watching an episode with one of us, she'll make us start the episode again. Just because she doesn't want to miss a single second. So my mom told her, no, we're going to I'm going to take you to a Shoma Josie concert. Holly's performing somewhere, so, we just go have fun. And she walked around the corner, had this huge, like, signage that said Masked Singer, and she turns to my mom, she goes, you are kidding me! This is my favorite show! Yes! She was so excited. And then the whole time, she was like, Mom, I love this show, I love this show. But apparently, I walked out onto the stage for the first time, she was like, that's Holly. I know it. Mom was like, no, it's Bobby Cooper. She was like, don't lie to me, Mom. That is Holly. I can tell from a mile away that that's my sister.
Oh, man, that's amazing. And must have been such an awesome prize for her as well. Just, to come for that and to watch you. That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about your TV show with your sister.
Yes. So we have a show called Baking with the Rays. We started it in lockdown.
Yes, on YouTube, right?
Just on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah. And Mimi actually was like, because we started baking as a hobby together during lockdown. So every week we would make something together because we were so bored. And she was like, let's video, because she's obsessed with YouTube. So she was like, let's video it and put it on YouTube and like show everyone. I was like, oh, YouTube's a lot of work, babes. Let's just put it on Instagram. So we started filming it, and then people started calling it, Saturdays with the Rays or Baking with the Rays.
Nice.
And then we were like, okay, cool, let's develop it into a YouTube series now because people are loving it. Let's make it longer. And so we put together a crew. I put together a production company that me and Memes own together.
Nice.
And we started filming. And while we were filming this first season for YouTube, SABC 3, can I say that?
Yeah, don't worry.
I
It's
don't know
YouTube,
what
girl,
some people
don't
are
worry.
like.
Nah, come on. This is YouTube. We don't care.
Yeah, they were like, we would really love this.
Yeah.
So yeah, they bought the season. Well, they bought the licensing for season
Nice.
1. And we're now going into production for season 2.
Look at that. I love how your family's kind of growing into this entertainment, household, but you guys are all kind of starting young. How old's your sister now?
She'll be 11 in March.
Listen
She's
to
10
that.
now. Yeah.
She's 11. You started baking with her, what, like 3 years ago? So that she was like 8.
Yeah, during lockdown, she was like, 7, 8, yeah.
That's crazy. So obviously she's turning into this little mini celeb.
She's such a diva.
How and what is it like for her going to school? I'm sure she's, the talk of the town at school.
She is.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when the season premiered.
Yeah.
Like, also at school, they sent out a little letter to everyone to tell people to watch.
Oh, nice.
And she loves it. But she's also the kind of kid that's like, I said to her the other day, I was like, oh, do you, lots of people want to be your friend. She's like, yeah, I don't need any more friends. So I was like, okay, cool.
I
Just keep it
love
humble. Stay with your
that.
clique, girl.
I love that. I love that. But you're obviously gonna kind of, help her out and grow her. Well, I'm assuming
For
that's what you and your mom are
sure.
gonna
But also, the
work with her.
reason I started the production company was because I didn't want my sister to ever be in a situation where she was exploited. I wanted
Mm,
her to own the rights to the show that she essentially came up with,
mm,
own the company that produces the show. Because I don't want her to go through anything that I went through in the music industry. I don't want
mm,
her to get it taken advantage ever. And I have the means and resources to do that.
mm.
So I will always protect my sister from the darker side of the entertainment industry as a whole. And yeah, the production company was a way of doing that. Everything is controlled by me and my mom. As soon as Mimi says I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to do it, we stop. She
Nice.
doesn't do anything she doesn't want to do. Yeah,
That's
it's all about
amazing.
her comfortability.
That's awesome, especially
Comfortability.
because you guys are there to kind of protect her. I really appreciate that women are being able to be comfortable in media spaces without being feeling like they're being taken advantage of by
Yeah,
different types of people, let alone just males or whatever the case may be.
yeah.
So this is really awesome what you guys are trying to create, and I hope more people can kind of see that there's nothing wrong with a momager who's doing it right.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But also kind of talking about certain challenges. I mean, there's something that I didn't know, but I noticed, well, I heard of when you were doing the Masked Singer, was about the fact that you have diabetes, or you are,
Yes.
I don't know if you're battling it or whether you're managing it. I don't know what the right terms are. But how has that kind of affected you with regards to performance? Because some people don't realize that there's different things that people have to kind of work around to actually be on stage. And
Yeah.
maybe you can't be on stage for much longer than anybody else, you
Yeah, for
know?
sure. It is a challenge. And the thing about
Mm,
diabetes, it's a lifestyle illness, right? So
okay.
it affects every single aspect of your life.
Mm,
So what you eat, what you drink, how much exercise you do, how much activity you do, if you get stressed, if you have an adrenaline rush, everything affects your diabetes.
mm.
It's also not something that you take a pill at the beginning of the day and then you're good for the rest of the day. I inject myself 6, 7 times a day. Every time I'm eating, if I exercise, if I go on stage, I have to manage my glucose.
Yeah.
Um, and I was actually chatting with Pops the other day, and I was saying, like, explaining like how diabetes works, and a lot of people have this misconception about diabetes, right? So they hear
Mm.
diabetes, go, oh yeah, ushukela,
Yeah.
but there's type 2 diabetes, there's type
Mm.
1 diabetes, you also get gestational diabetes, which is pregnant women. And type 2 is the more lifestyle based. So that's you eat too much sugar,
Mm. Cholesterol,
you
all of that.
cholesterol, yeah,
Mm.
you're overweight, it's older people, it's more your body, for lack of a better word, like giving up or
Mm.
giving in to certain like lifestyle restraints or things. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune deficiency. People get it from birth. Some people are
Okay.
born with diabetes, and if you are going to get type 1 diabetes, you're going to get it. No matter what you eat, no matter what you do, you're going to get it. Your body rejects your pancreas.
Mm.
Your body basically like turns on itself, it attacks itself. So often, like when I say I'm diabetic, people be like, oh, but you're not overweight, oh, but you're so young. No, that has nothing to do with diabetes, but yeah, it does affect music a lot. I have a CGM that connects to my phone. My team are all logged into it.
What's the CGM?
So it's a constant glucose
Oh,
monitor.
okay.
So it gives you 24-hour glucose readings, what your sugar's doing. So I don't prick my finger, put it on the machine. It just
Oh, I
connects to
get
my
that.
phone, and
Okay.
yeah. I've had to learn how to balance like being on stage because I get a huge adrenaline rush. Then I have like high
Because you're
sugar
excited, and
afterwards.
then
Yeah.
yeah.
So even now I'm still learning about my body and how to manage it best. You know, sometimes I have to take insulin before I go on stage. Sometimes my sugar drops when I'm on stage. I need to actually have sugar. But I have an amazing team that supports me through all of it.
Mm.
And they understand diabetes.
Yeah.
We've gone through an educational process with everyone, so that I feel supported and I can do my best
Mm.
always.
I think that's important to at least have everybody also kind of educated so that they know how to deal with you. Maybe if something happens while you're on stage or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, then they're able to kind of manage that. So big ups to that. I also think there isn't a lot of information about diabetes.
Yeah.
I think because, like you're saying, everyone's just like, sugar, just don't eat sugar and you'll be fine.
I know what's crazy
And
about that. Diabetes is the second biggest killer in South Africa after TB. Yeah.
really,
Not even HIV. So it's TB, then diabetes. Yeah.
really. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I do think more education kind of needs to be spread out a little bit about it. We need to talk about it a little bit more. We need to have the information because people only know about what they're exposed to.
Yeah.
And if there is no exposure to it, we don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of an awkward thing to kind of say, but sometimes I appreciate when people in positions like you who have platforms are able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because then you at least can give the information because you are Holly Ray and people will listen.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
So this month, November's diabetes month.
Oh, nice.
So the whole month on social media, I'm just doing like diabetes awareness videos, telling people what it is, what you do if you think you have it. Just like all the basics around diabetes, because I understand that. I understand I have a platform. So yeah.
That's beautiful, man. Okay, well, talking about obviously us getting into the end of the year, November, December, we're going to be jumping on stages. I hope you're managing how you're jumping on those stages. The music is out, as you had mentioned. Do we have a tour in mind, or where can people kind of catch you so we can keep watching and supporting?
Yeah, so we'll have a partnership with the Gin Fest and Island Tribe. So we are doing a nationwide tour. It actually started a few months ago. So like doing Polokwane, Soweto. There's like a bunch of different dates. I don't know them off the top of my head. But I will post about them.
But that's why you have social media,
exactly,
girl.
Exactly. So yeah, we are going to Eastern Cape. Yeah, there's a few places we're going to. So that will be. But then obviously I have other shows.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully empowering more women in the music industry to take back their power. You know, I'm getting to the point now. I'm the kind of artist that don't make music to be popular. Make music because I like music. I don't care how many followers I have. I don't care if people are listening or liking it or whatever. I just make music.
Nice.
And I'm starting to feel like I need to step more into the background of music because I don't necessarily love it as much as I see other people do. I love music, don't get me wrong, but I'd love to empower more women to take back their power. And then obviously the production company and creating a space for my little sister to shine and do everything she wants to do. Like,
nice.
I didn't have the same upbringing as her. I didn't have, like, my family didn't have everything when I was growing up. In fact, we pretty much had nothing. So to be able to give her those opportunities is everything I want to be able to do in the next couple of years.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much for joining us on Pop Radio today, Holly. We really do appreciate your story. We love the fact that you keep on, pushing yourself, giving us new things. I love the fact that you're connecting with African artists because I really want more South Africans to do that. So we'll definitely check out the brand new single. Yeah, man, we'll keep on supporting social media so people can check out where the tour is.
It's at Holly Ray Music on everything.
Yes. And the TV show you said,
it's called Baking with the Rays.
Yes.
It's available on Prime Video and SABC Plus.
Nice. Well, there you have it. That is Holly Ray on Pop Radio for us today. Of course, you can follow her on her socials and watch her TV show as she had mentioned. And for us, thank you so much for joining me on Pop Radio for today. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know exactly what you like, what you don't like, who you want to see on Pop Radio on the mic next week.